Week 2, Day 8. The Eucharist and the Saints. Mother Teresa, Spiritual Habits. Day 8. Set your minds on the things that are above, not on earthly things. Colossians 3 verse 2. Mother Teresa is one of the most beloved women of all time. She emerged as an icon of goodness in the modern world, capturing the imagination of the whole world with her heroic acts of service for the poorest of poor. She was a steadfast voice of faith and love in a world gone mad with materialism and hedonism. Contrasted against the unbridled materialism of the modern world, the simplicity of her life caused men and women to reflect upon the way they were choosing to live their own lives. At a time when secularism had a firm grip on the soul of our culture, her humility could hold the attention of any crowd as she spoke profound spiritual truths. This Catholic nun intrigued the hearts, confounded the minds, and inspired the spirits of people of every faith and nation. With no product to sell and no public relations representatives, she became one of most famous people in the world. And her mere presence was so magnetic and powerful that world leaders and celebrities of every type were often left baffled. Her appeal was truly Catholic universal. She was truly a remarkable woman. Her faith wasn't a speech, it was living and breathing. She saw each moment as an opportunity to love. Every individual person mattered to her. "I believe in person-to-person contact," she once said. "Every person is Christ for me, and since there's only one Jesus, the person I am meeting is the one person in the world at that moment." Those who spent time with her would often comment, "For the moment you were with her, there was only you and her. She wasn't looking over your shoulder to see what was happening around you. You had her full attention. It was as if nothing else existed to her except you." Mother Teresa was considered a living saint for decades during her lifetime and was canonized on September 4, 2016, just 19 years after her death. What makes the saints different from the billions of other people throughout history? What sets them apart? Their habits. The things they did with unerring consistency every day, week, month, and year. Make an inventory of the habits that define the lives of the saints, and it is a fairly short list. What are the things they did each day, week, month, year? Simple things like the habit of daily prayer and an annual retreat, praying the rosary and caring for the poor. And the overlap from one saint to another is massive. They didn't all have vastly different habits, but remarkably similar habits. This is why it is a mistake to go looking for new and different ways to the spiritual life. This type of quest is usually driven by the ego and fueled by pride, and therefore lacks the essential ingredient for spiritual growth, humility. The path of Christian spirituality is well trodden. It is not a secret or a mystery, it is easy to discover and available to anyone, and it works. When I reflect on the life of Mother Teresa, the questions I ask myself are, where did her power to love so deeply come from? What was the source of her strength to serve so selflessly? How was this woman able to inspire so many people to give their lives to God? The answers to these questions are also deeply embedded in her life. Before everything else, Mother Teresa was a woman of prayer. Each day for decades she spent time in prayer before the Blessed Sacrament. Her power to love, her strength to endure, and her gift to inspire others were all born from the Eucharist. This woman believed in the centrality of Jesus Christ. She knew his centrality in history and eternity, and she trusted his centrality in her own life. There is the source, Jesus in the Eucharist. She placed Jesus at the center of her life. Eucharistic adoration was one of Mother Teresa's primary spiritual habits. Spending time with Jesus in the Eucharist was an essential part of what made her who she was. It is a habit she shared with almost every saint who. The world was obsessed with the power and magnetism of her goodness, and yet, the world ignored the source of the holiness she manifested everywhere she went. It would have been easy for her to lose herself in the enormous fame the world lavished on her. Why didn't she? The media is full of stories about famous people who have been chewed up and spat out by fame. Why didn't fame affect Mother Teresa in the same way? She spent the first hour of each day before the Blessed Sacrament in adoration. As the impact of her work grew, some of those close to her asked her to reduce this to 30 minutes, pointing out that every minute she spent with people bore tremendous fruit. This may have seemed reasonable and rational to those proposing the change, especially in light of all of Mother Teresa's other spiritual practices. So, did she capitulate? No. She increased her time of adoration to 2 hours each morning and reminded those closest to her that Jesus was the source of all the fruit their work was bearing. Later, as her legend grew, she increased her daily adoration to 3 hours. Our lives change when our habits change. What problems are you trying to solve in your life right now? Do you see how the habit of adoration would help you solve that problem? Do you see how the habit of adoration would have problems to begin with? How would your life change if you spent an hour each day before the Blessed Sacrament? Try not to dismiss the question. I realize that for most people this is not possible. But consider this for a moment anyway. How would your life change? Get lost in that reflection for a few moments. Think on it as you go about your day. Now consider this: what is possible? 1 hour a week? 1 hour each month? 10 minutes each day? Because whatever is possible, you should grasp it and allow the power of the Eucharist to pour into your soul. Follow Mother Teresa's advice. If I can give you any advice, I'd beg you to get closer to the Eucharist and to Jesus. We must pray to Jesus to give us that tenderness of the Eucharist. The French novelist Léon Bloy once wrote, "The only real sadness, the only real failure, the only great tragedy in life is not to become a saint." While becoming a saint is the primary goal of the Christian life, most people never really consider it a possibility. Is it possible? Yes. How do we begin? By adopting the spiritual habits that the saints shared in common. You need the habit of adoration. How often? I don't know. For how long? I don't know. That is between you and God, but it was central to the lives of the saints, and I encourage you to make it central to your life even if it is only for 1 hour each month. It has been observed that people emulate the 5 people they spend most time with, for better or worse. Make Jesus one of those 5 people. Spending time in the presence of Jesus in the Eucharist will transform you and your life in ways you cannot even begin to imagine. Trust. Surrender. Believe. Receive. Lesson. Our lives change when our habits change. Adopting the habit of Eucharistic adoration will change every aspect of your life. We tend to emulate the people we spend time with. By spending time in the presence of Jesus in the Eucharist, we become more like Him. Virtue of the day. Consistency. The virtue of consistency allows us to moderate our behavior in alignment with our faith and values. It demands that we abandon frivolous whims, preferences and cravings as they arise throughout the day and stay true to the course we have set. It also requires constant micro-alignments between your words, beliefs, and actions. A consistent man conducts himself and corrects himself in order to maintain his true north bearing. A woman with the virtue of consistency is a great comfort to her friends and family. Consistent people are sometimes mistaken for being boring, but only by those who don't value the rare peace consistency ushers quietly into our lives. Spiritual communion. Jesus. I believe that you are truly present in the most holy sacrament of the Eucharist. Every day I long for more of you. I love you above all things, and I desire to receive you into my soul. Since I cannot receive you sacramentally at this moment, I invite you to come and dwell in my heart. May this spiritual communion increase my desire for the Eucharist. You are the healer of my soul. Take the blindness from my eyes, the deafness from my ears, the darkness from my mind, and the hardness from my heart. Fill me with the grace, wisdom, and courage to do your will in all things. My Lord and my God, draw me close to you, nearer than ever before. Amen.